breaking the law, and the law should be enforced. Now, how we get to that means, I mean, you got to understand, we're in this situation because our government for years have looked over the illegal situation in this country because corporations are making money off the back of illegals being in here. So we would have addressed it a long time ago, and I'm disturbed when the president would speak out on this. So I want to hear your side of how you feel about the Arizona law and illegal immigration.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me at your show. And I'd like to say, God
We're gonna
bless.
change your name, by the
Yeah,
way.
right.
Jack after the show.
Well, I mean, God bless Arizona, honestly, for having the statistical fortitude to do
All right,
something about
keep
it.
that up, Big John. Go run back here.
Well, I mean, to do something about it, the reality is, you're right. The government, the U.S. government, hasn't done what it should do, and what's happening is now we have states, taking the initiative. Unfortunately, in my opinion, it's the initiatives that these states are taking are not the right steps, towards the better, in my opinion, of the U.S. and its citizens. And we can talk about this with a historical context, but let's be honest right here. This law is goes beyond just being a law about immigration. It becomes a law that against the Hispanic community, because at this point in time, the majority of the undocumented immigrants are of Hispanic descent. We're not the only ones. I mean, I can show you numbers of.
You have Haitians in here.
Yeah,
So on and so forth.
there's Asians, there's Europeans,
Eastern Europeans,
Africans.
Canadians.
Yep. So, but the idea is, it's a state that's in the border, and they're not talking about limiting immigration. They're really talking about limiting immigration coming from our southern border, when the reality is we have a northern border as well, and I've actually had the privilege to go to Minnesota, and I've actually canoed across the border with in the forest where there's no border patrols there, and
but no
nobody's done-
Canadian in their right mind wants to come here.
Right. I've actually
on.
learned that, right? But if we talk about criminality and terrorism, the terrorists that were here for 9/11 came through Canada, and many of which came here legally.
Right.
Exactly. And I just want to put an emphasis on that, because a lot of it says illegal immigrants are criminals, and they are breaking the law. And I'm a person that believes in the rule of law. But when the law is broken, it needs to be changed. And I'll give you an example. Not that long ago in this country, we had laws that made slavery legal. Now, because slavery was legal, didn't make it right. This country has always been welcoming immigrants. He alluded to earlier, there's Native Americans in Arizona. Well, Native Americans are 1% of the population, which means that everyone else are of immigrant descent. Why is it now that immigration, illegal immigration, is an issue? Well, because the majority of immigrants are of Hispanic descent, and that to me is a reality. When we look at,
are we dealing with legal or illegal? That's really the issue.
right, but even at that, if you look at the way for you as if you apply for a visa coming from Mexico, it's virtually impossible for you to get here. And a lot of the people that are coming from are from rural areas, and the people that are benefiting it from the most is you have the owners of farms, of fruit farms, like he talked about earlier, where Cesar Chavez, and people who need low skilled wages. Now, if we don't legalize the 12,
So, let's clarify. You said low skill wages. I mean, what it is really is rich people
Right.
that is making more money by
Exactly.
paying less. So
Exactly.
it's greedy, wealthy people.
exactly.
So who is the
benefiting
problem?
from
What
slave
is
labor.
perpetuating the problem then? Isn't that perpetuating the problem?
It's perpetuating the problem, but it's our government to force it. See, here's my
And why aren't they
thing.
doing it?
Under the Bush, because the same way you have drugs in this country and in the black community, they know where it's coming from, but they turn a blind eye because somebody's making money. Let me give you an example. On the Bush administration, they spent billions of dollars to put up fences along the border to keep them out. You don't have to spend $1 to deal with illegals coming in this country. All you have to do is write a strong law, that says any business that hires illegal, we will strip that business from their right to do business in the United States. We will seize their assets, and you would stop it right then. But they would tell you that we can't do that. That's illegal. But I tell you what, get caught with drugs in your house, they're going to take your house, your car, and everything else. So our government has a double standard in the law to benefit those that they want to benefit from the law.
Exactly, and I think it benefits, I mean, the wealthy and the poor, which in this case are immigrants as well as minority communities. The idea is this, but here's the other issue too. The reason why your cheeseburger at McDonald's costs $1 and not $7 is because it's these workers who are picking up the lettuce, the tomato, and working in these farms and who are able to produce cheap labor.
It's called cheap labor.
Right, but
years ago we called it slave labor.
Right,
and we got free room and board. Now they pay y'all pennies and no room and board. So
there's some commonalities, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a sophisticated version of the past.
Exactly,
and it's also called China.
Yep. So I mean, and the solution is you pass a law that's gonna legalize these people so that they have rights. Right now they don't have rights, so they can't ask for anything else. And so what they do is and this is systematic as well. A lot of these companies, what they do is they hire them for 6 months, and as soon as payday comes around, lo and behold, here comes ICE officials, and they get deported. And guess who doesn't get paid? And this is something that happens systematically all around the country, and we don't hear about it, but it's the truth. And the thing is,
our government at fault?
Our government is at fault, and it needs to, and that's why they need to pass a reform that would do a couple of things. One is there's 12 million people here. Now, could you imagine 12 million people that are working? If 12 million people were deported, now, try how much money is it going to take, first of all, to deport the 12 million people? That's a reality. There's 12 or more million people here. So what do we do about them? That's the idea. The second thing is, why are they coming here? There's definitely issues happening in their native countries. The reason they're fleeing here. Now,
I mean, and not to sound obnoxious, but from American standpoint, is that our concern?
Yes.
And again, I don't mean to sound.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I myself, as an American citizen born here, my parents came here legally. My uncle was born here, and my father came here, and during the it's called the Operation Bracero program, which the U.S. welcome workers.
Speak English right here.
Yeah, right. Well, it's actually a U.S. Run government that was called the Bracero program, that was brought that was meant to bring Mexican companies were going into the U.S. and actually they're still doing today. U.S. companies are going into Mexico and small towns and looking to hire workers and bring them here illegally. Back then, it was a program by the U.S. that allowed them to be here legally. And that's kind of how my family got here. But the reality is, I was born here. I'm American citizen, and I'm concerned because it's a human rights issue. Just like you were saying earlier, making the comparison about being stopped. DWB. This is what we call it, driving while black. I mean, there's.
Oh, believe me, I know that one.
Right. Well, I mean, it happens in my neighborhood too. I grew up in back of the yards, and I got stopped plenty of times. Just for minding my own business. Yeah. And now that makes it legal. See, it makes it legal in Arizona to do that now, simply for looking like you're undocumented.
So let me ask you this: if we were enforcing the law, 12 million people wouldn't be here. Now, does that justify those 12 million people? Let's give an example. If you're here illegally and you have a Social Security card, you're using someone else. More than half of them, I use someone else's Social Security card. So that's identity theft.
To work, yes.
If I use if someone used my Social Security number to work and they mess up my credit, find out they're going to jail. So why do we know that illegals are here using someone else's Social Security number to work, and the law is not being enforced when we know where they're working at?
Right, I agree, and that's exactly what the problem. And so how do you solution that problem? Well, I mean, they're having to use somebody else's or fake Social Security numbers because they can't get permission to work legally, and it's supply and demand. They have to
breaking the law.
Well, right. But what I'm saying is I mean, so what are we going to do to